Hello there, and welcome to Pam's Artsy Corner. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so please forgive me if my voice is raspy and not so happy sounding. But I have had a request for a haunted house or a spooky looking house. And what I want you to remember is that we're not looking for perfect, we are looking for spooky, okay? And the creepier looking, the better. So I'm going to start off with, I want to have an area in the front that's going to be my yard. And I'm going to draw, let's start with a rectangular shape in the front. And I'm going to add a roof line. It's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to add a smaller area on top of this, or I have another part of the house. I am not an architect. I am just trying to have spooky fun here, right? So I think over here I will have another roof line, and then off to the side I'm gonna have this other tower that's added on, because everybody needs to have a tall spooky tower, you know. And I'm gonna add what's called a turret. Kind of looks like a barn silo, but it's kind of like where Rapunzel lets down her golden hair. But it's a nice place to have spooky light coming in from, you know. And I'm thinking I'm going to exaggerate my roof line, because pencils are meant to be used for erasing stuff. And I'm thinking like this. I want to have a doorway right here. I'm going to make it round and look like a dungeon. Boo-hoo, ha 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 ha. And give it some lines. I don't have to be that specific right now. I don't have to be that Pacific either. Ha 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 ha. So right here, I'm going to make two poles. I'm being too Pacific, aren't I? Well, the thing is, you know, when I paint with acrylic, I can usually just add on what I like later on. But when I paint with watercolor, if I don't have it in mind already, it probably doesn't work out as well. So I'm going to add some windows. I'm going to have a creepy window up here at the top, because everybody likes to peek out at who's there. And I'm going to have another skinny window right here. These are some really tall rooms. But if kids know how to draw anything, it's how to draw a house. They could draw a tree and they can draw a house. Right, guys? Kids can draw houses because they're squares and they're rectangles, and sometimes they're extra creepy like these are. So let me make this. It kind of looks like an eye. Ooh, ah. Okay. And then I'm going to have some steps right here. So I'm just going to make lines. Or you know what? Forget the steps. Let's do paver stones. We'll have an area right here in the front where it's like a welcome mat. And then we can make some creepy stones. These can be stepping stones. Ooh, ha 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 ha. Step on the stones. Step on the stones. It could be like hopscotch. Okay? Over here to the side in my drawing, I'm going to plan on, of course, a tree. You gotta have a spooky tree. And we're not gonna have a line through the tree. We're just gonna go, take my pencil, and I'm gonna go a little creepy crawly up into the top of the house. And that trunk is way too thin. So I'm going to keep adding lines to the sides. And there. I can get the perfect stuff out of it later. And then over here in the distance, I've had a request for some spooky stuff. So how comfortable would you feel if your house was right next door to a cemetery? Not very comfortable at all, huh? And this one, ooh, that's spooky looking. That looks fresh. Fresh. Okay, I'm gonna take that line out of there. Okay, and you can't have a spooky haunted house without a full moon. So I'm gonna take something round. For this, I will use something round, and it's my tape. I'm just gonna use the inside of that, and I made my moon. And is there anything we want to add to this? Maybe leave room for a ghost or two. Just, you know, ghosts like to hang out, walk around the neighborhood for things other than trick-or-treating. So we're not going to color this part. And if you're going to have Halloween, you got to have some pumpkins, right? Jack-o'-lanterns with really big carved faces. They're very happy. And I think I'll put another tree over here. That's the beauty of these things. You can map it out to look like anything you want, and then you fill in what you want to fill in. Okay, another spooky tree coming right up. We've got one ghost. We've got full moon. 3 gravestones. We're gonna need some bats. We can fill in the bats at the very end because we'll do that with ink. And do you think spooky clouds that you could only see during the moonlight? Okay. What do you think? We can add the details for the windows later. Do you think we should put another one right here? Yeah, maybe an exit door to go out to the cemetery. Moo ha 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 ha. Yeah, I'm a pro at a witch's laugh. A pro, I tell you. But when I'm sick, I sound like mud. Like just mud. Do you think we should put a fireplace, like a chimney? Did I say chimney? Chimney crickets. Okay. I'm liking it. Do you like it? I like it. Do you like it? I like it. Okay, let's go. Okay, so now I'm going to pick out my colors and my brushes. I have a really fat, this is a number 12 round brush. It holds a lot of paint, so I love using my round brushes, my number 12s. And then I have like a smaller one with a nice good point on it. This is a number 8. That'll be good for some finer details. And then I always like to keep something thinner around. This can be used for acrylic or watercolor. And this is a number 4, so teeny tiny point. Okay, so it's nice to have a variety of sizes, but if you could only have like 2 or 3, then those are good sizes to have. Okay, so how spooky do you want to be with your haunted house? Well, since it's supposed to be nighttime, but it's also going to be Halloween nighttime, we can go with either like an orangey glow, or we can have a purpley glow. It's going to be entirely up to you, really. Those are a couple of good ways, good background colors you want to choose. So I think I'm going to go with, first of all, I'm going to work on my moon. So I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm going to get some yellow ochre right here. It's a really yellow, bright yellow color, and I'm going to add some water to it. And now I'm going to go over to my moon, And after dipping in clean water, I'm just gonna outline or fill in my circle shape with water. And then I'm gonna dip my paintbrush again in some water, pick up some paint, and drop it into my spooky moon. So it'll look like some cheese with a nice hot tortilla and oh yes, if you like quesadillas, you know what I'm talking about. You could also add a little gray to that. Just make sure first that it's not so dark, and then I'm just gonna add a bit more water. And if you want to see like the man in the moon, you can add a little gray in there, make it look super spooky looking like it did the other night. Did you see that harvest moon on, was it Sunday or Monday? That was a beautiful moon. You know what? Thinking of that, I'm gonna get a little bit of orange, just a little bit of orange, and I'm gonna add a touch of orange in that moon, okay? It's good. Okay, now I can tackle my sky. I'm gonna tackle my sky, my background first. And remember, watercolor is gonna dry a lighter shade than it goes on, okay? So I'm gonna look for, I think I'm gonna go with a light purple or like a dark blue kind of background, a cooler color, because I want my house to be a brown color. And if I have that, brown is a warm shade and blue is a cool shade. Purple is also a cool shade. I just close the door because my son does not know what volume control is. Okay, so let me get some blues together. Okay, that's a nice vibrant blue. Rinse my brush. I'm gonna mix it up with a bit of Payne's Gray, which is usually right next to the black. That's a good shade of gray. I don't want it to be that dark, so I'm gonna add a little bit of the nicer, warmer gray. Is this gonna be dark enough for nighttime? I don't know. I haven't painted it yet, but we could try it. Do you want to do the spotty water technique like we did with the other stuff? Okay, I'm gonna go like that. I like experimenting. I'm good with experimenting. Let's do this. Just drag your brush, your wet brush, around your clouds. Give your moon a, whoops. Don't do what I just did and drag your brush too close to the moon, because your wet brush is an invitation for that other color to seep on out. You know what? I'm not gonna hurry and try and catch it. You know, if that water wants to go and run a marathon around my paper, that's fine. So I'm wetting what will be my background. I'll even let the water go over my tree stumps, because those trees aren't ready yet. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little blue and I'm gonna dip it in. This is called wet on wet technique. Okay, lay it down a little sloppy, a little spooky. Just let that color go over your trees, over your house. It doesn't have to fill up every single little nook and cranny to make it look good. You can leave some little gaps of white, that's fine. It's okay to be sloppy here. It's nice when you have layers when you're painting, and in this case, my painting layer is gonna be, we're gonna start with blue. We could add shades of gray, shades of black. We can go with a little bit of white. Look at how that moon just kept on creeping out and creeping out. That's perfect. I didn't mean to do that, and look at how it came out just the right way. That's just perfect. Moving my color around. If your paper starts to dry up, just drag your brush in the water again. You're okay. Okay, it's nice and sloppy looking. I love it. I love it. You know why? Because when it's sloppy, you're not gonna stress so much. And the whole point of making art is you want to have fun. If you start stressing over little things like my color went in the wrong place, well, goodness, you're just taking the joy out of your painting experience. I'm gonna add a little darker blue right there, a little blue right there, and then I'm just gonna let this baby dry. Dry, 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 dry. Okay, now I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna mix up some browns. I'm gonna go with this shade of brown right here and maybe something darker. If you want to make your brown a little darker, of course you could add a touch of Payne's Gray, or you can add a little black even, but if you do the black, make sure it's very little. Now for the house, I'm not going to go over with the water first. I'm just going to fill it in, okay? And this time it's going to be kind of like coloring with paint. Coloring with paint. Pam, what do you mean? Well, just coloring. Instead of using a box of crayons, you're just using your paintbrush, okay? This is very loosey-goosey, easy-cheesy painting right here, okay? No stress at all. Do not worry if your brush is too fat for this part of your painting, because it could be whatever it wants to be. Just let it be. I'm going to take that color brown and go up, up, up my tower. Up, up, up in my tower. Hi, tower. How's it going? Ooh, yeah. That is a cool looking house. Okay. I'm going to make the front part a little lighter. Maybe just change it a little, give it a little bit of orange. Ooh, that would look cool, right? Okay, I'm going to go right here. Make this one like a richer color, a richer brown. I'm just filling in my squares and my rectangles. See, you're working out shapes and you're painting. Isn't that neat? Kind of looks like, I don't know, kind of like a face, a sad face. Ooh. I sounded very convincing, right? I'm gonna make this part dark brown or light brown. I think I might have blown my nose too hard because I'm saying funny things. Maybe I left some brain cells out. Get back in. You see this right here, guys? This is called a bloom. It's my water pulled my paint to one side, kind of like in a puddle. I like that effect. Now my paper isn't dry yet, my paint isn't dry, and I know because this is nice and wobbly, that's why I taped it down, because I knew that my paint liked to be wobbly. Okay, I'm gonna get some, I think I'm gonna go with a dark roof line, and I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna use that same brown. I'm gonna give it a dark roof line. And here I go. Look at me go. Woohoo. Woohoo. Are you having fun? I like to ask that. Because if you're not having fun yet, then you need to figure out what is keeping you from having fun and make a change. Make a change. I don't want you to worry about pencil marks, because I think pencil marks kind of add to the painting. It's kind of like when my brother and I were younger and we would watch TV shows and we could see where they were using strings or they were using wires. Be like, oh, you could see it's not real, it's so fake. But I mean, that was okay. It was like we were onto something. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. It's okay. Oh, look at how what happened here. Yeah, it's okay if your paint goes to wander and people see your pencil lines. We are making a spooky house. And you know what? It looks to me like we're trying. And I think that's okay. It kind of looks like a shadow on the wall. How nifty is that? Hee 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 hee. I'm gonna make my fireplace. I'm gonna use that same shade on one side, right? Just right here on this side. I'll show y'all a little trick I learned. I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna go over to the front yard where they have all of these paths and pebbles and things. And I'm gonna drag my water not over my ghost, but over all the part that's supposed to be yard. Just the front right here. I'm gonna stop at my tombstones. Okay, now I'm gonna get some of that same gray with a really wet brush, and I'm just gonna drag it over. This is called a wash. I'm leaving this down first, and then I'm gonna paint over this in some areas with different colors, and that's okay. It's a type of shading called a wash. My husband, who's from Ohio, would call it a worse, because he's funny like that, and that's how they say worse in Ohio, where he's from, at least according to him. Yeah, it really helps when you turn on the microphone, Pam. So it was at this point in the video that my microphone went out. So I went ahead and re-recorded this for you. So at this point, I started adding on some, well, I really wanted to put in yellow in the windows because I thought that that would look spookier. But then as I was painting, something occurred to me. It would look even better if I painted all the windows black, except for one window. And I chose to leave the tallest window with the light on. So that way I could add a little spooky silhouette, a spooky figure like they were looking out the window. So you get to see that part later on. But yes, definitely a better idea to have all the windows in black. I also proceeded to fill in my windows with black. I wanted to try and see if it would look okay if I put in a window shade, but no. So black windows definitely make it look a lot spookier. So if you happen to put too much water on your chimney or any part of your painting, your watercolor painting, the way you fix it is you go ahead and rinse off the brush and you dab off the excess water. You give it a little pat on your paper towel, and then you set the bristles in the puddle of paint, and that will lift off the extra water that you have on that spot. And that's a really handy trick to know, because too much water puddling in one area will really make a mess of your painting. Plus, it will take forever to dry. And it's always a good idea to have paper towels or a rag available so you can dry off your brush, or you can dab off excess paint with that. Sometimes you can use that to make texture. So always want to have that paper towel or rag around. And we're getting closer and closer to finishing our haunted house. Let's add some more ooky spooky details. Like the tombstones. The tombstones need some color, and the dirt needs some color, but I didn't want to go into too much detail there. Now, any other brown that I had left on my palette, I wanted to go ahead and use that, not waste any paint, but use that just to finish off any other parts of my house which weren't painted. I had meant to paint my door red, but it came out like a nice red-orange color. Very ooky spooky, kind of like a red door that faded with time. So one thing that I thought was pretty essential, and I didn't realize it until after I had painted my windows, you gotta have shutters for your windows. Now, I realize that these shutters aren't for actual opening and closing. They're more decorative. But on most old creepy houses, you'll see shutters on either side of the windows, and those are meant to protect the windows from storms. That's why they call them storm shutters. Well, if you're going to have storm shutters, you can imagine what those things would sound like on a windy day when they're not secured to the wall. And did you see how those trees magically appeared in the yard? Yes, I meant to do that. Okay, it is time to add some more magic to your painting. Let's bring in some leaves. And if your leaves don't look like leaves, maybe they just look like dots, it's okay. Do not fuss, do not worry. I am not going to be all up in that tree checking to make sure their leaves look fantastic. No, rather I am going to say, gee, that looks like an autumn tree. Because you have the colors and you have branches. So as long as you give the illusion of branches and leaves, I can figure out it's an autumn tree. So you might have noticed I went from leaves to sky. So after I painted my leaves, I was kind of thinking, my sky's not dark enough. And ordinarily, yes, with good planning, I would have painted my sky before I went in with my leaves. But it's okay. We learn from our mistakes. And sometimes, you just might be like me. You notice stuff along the way. And we're not going to call that a mistake. We're going to call it a happy little accident, right? Because we learn from this. So I painted in my pumpkin, but I saw my pumpkin was too dark. I didn't like it was too orangey. So I went ahead and lifted some paint out. I cleaned off my brush, and I do eventually lift some paint out. And here we have my moon. I thought my moon needed to be yellow, but orange, but yellow. And so I added some richer texture to it, richer color to it. And there I go, lifting off the paint from the orange. I feel like a sports commentator, honestly. But this is what happens when you have to record a voiceover 3 times in a row. So here in this part, I am lifting off paint from the windows. You remember I wanted them to be yellow. And then I went ahead and painted them black. And then when I was looking at my painting, when I was almost finished, I thought, what if I lifted off paint? And gosh, guys, check this out. They look like ghosts. And this started off as an experiment. But what a cool experiment. What a great turnout. And that's part of the fun of painting and making art. You know, sometimes you try things you didn't plan on and you get fantastic results. Now, other times, of course, it might turn out like junk. But, you know, you don't know until you try. You gotta try, right? Green eggs and ham. Remember that story? You don't know if you're gonna like it until you try. Okay, I'm getting too bossy. I'll get off my soapbox. So in the end, I went ahead and added some Micron pen touches. I went with some black ink around all the edges. And I used my white Pentel gel pen. And I added some more white color to my ghosts, which to me makes them look a lot more authentic. And it looks like they're staring outside the window at the trick-or-treater ghost. Like, hey, what are you doing? I even used white lines on my moon to make it look like it has a ring. And I was playing around with some of the, what do you call those things? Filters. There you go. And I saw that cartoony one, and I thought, that is such a cool filter. So, I wanted you all to see what I did with that too. And of course, I like the old-timey black and white one, which makes it look even ookier, spookier. And of course, my final result. I hope you really enjoyed this video and that you give it a try and you make your own original designs or you follow along with what I did, but have some fun. And until next time, thanks for visiting Pam's Artsy Corner.